So ಈಗ server, now the server is on. Now I will turn off the server and again go to the code files. So now we discussed about what helper file does, what index does, what views does, and how the app is stored, all those basic stuff. So now we will see a new feature of Rails. It is not a new feature, one very loud feature by all the beginner developers, where Rails itself generates all the required stuff. For example, it is called as scaffolding. Scaffold will make a CRUD operation very easy. Uh, so for that, if you do this, if you use scaffold, all those things I taught you, controllers, models, and creating routes, all those things are done by Ruby on Rails itself. So if there is someone who uh, don't have any knowledge on how to print hello world or anything, uh, want to make a custom CRUD database, you can just use scaffold. And for the scaffold, the command is Rails generate can also be written as Rails generate scaffold, and after that you can give the scaffold name as user or anything you like. So this will create a scaffold. It will create a controller called as user. It will create a model. It will create the route all by itself. And after that, if you write anything, name and phone number, these are name and phone number will be the field of the user model that you created. Now if you click on enter, it will create a scaffold. Now if you see the code, in app controller, you can see a controller which is named as users, and it will have all the index, show, new, edit, create, all those things custom generated. uh, I personally don't recommend using scaffold because it creates some extra code, and as a developer it's not a good practice to use a scaffold. And if you see the models, it will have a user model which is empty. And if you see the routes, where is the routes? In configuration folder, config folder, routes, you can see resource users. So in routes, so in routes there are different type of route. One is HTTP routes, which are like get, put, post, patch, delete, options, all those things. Then resource routes, which are like resources, then the scaffold name that you've given. And then there are some more routes which we will be talking in our future session. So this is how we create a scaffold. And in order to check what we created scaffold, we created scaffold with the name and phone number as variables. And if we run the server, in order to scaffold to work, okay, it's showing some error. Rails, yes. Then if you check the local host, okay, it is saying pending migration error. It is because whenever you create a scaffold, it will create a database as well. While creating database, uh, first it will create a migration folder, so that if you want to edit something in the migration folder, this is how a table is created. It is a users table with the values, name and phone number. After creating a scaffold, it is recommended that you give this command rails db migrate. This will migrate the database. Now you can see a schema folder. Before, the schema folder was not there. In schema folder, it will show all the tables of your project. So in this in users table, you can see name, phone number, and created at updated. This is created by default. So name and phone number we created. Now if you give rails, yes, rails, yes, server will start. One moment. Rails, yes, server will start. And now if you give users, you can see this is done by the scaffold. So in scaffold is very good. you can add anything, create user. So if you go back, you can see. So scaffold makes the CRUD operation very easy. You can you can delete this user, you can edit this user. All those stuff is done by Rails itself very easily. If you see your view folder, you can see users, and here it is divided into so many stuff. So all the JSON folder is used for building. It is JBuilder, like it will build. If you are working with Rails API, it will help. Otherwise, all this HTML.erb folder are the partials. All these things we will understand as we develop more stuff further. So as I am personally new to Ruby on Rails, I still have worked on some projects, but still I am not that good at teaching right now. But as I know more stuff, I will explain in depth. But this is my Ruby on Rails developer series. So this is about scaffold.